all of you have been hurt pretty badly in some way. Whatever the situation is, you've got your life pretty messed up.
Most of us go through life pretending. Most of us go through life like that. Pretending that we're satisfied where we are, pretending that everything is okay. But if you look at our behavior, if you judge based upon what we do, that really will tell you some true stories about people, because you have to judge a tree by the fruit it bears, not the fruit that it talks about. See, a lot of people pretend that they want more out of life, but all you have to do is watch their actions.
And sometimes we're discouraged over what we brought on ourselves. It's not the enemy, it's our attitude. The good news is, all you have to do is make an attitude adjustment. It's not complicated. You can't change other people. A lot in life we can't control. But one thing we can all control is our attitude. Am I going to live this day negative, sour, seeing the wrong, chip on my shoulder? Or am I going to live it in faith, positive, hopeful, being good to people? This is a choice that we have to make every day.
We all have weakness. We all have gaps. We all have issues. We all have struggles. And the first step to working your weakness is admitting your weakness. Just because you ignore it doesn't mean it's going to go away. But many times we conceal things and we cover things up because we're concerned that if we'll expose it, we're going to be embarrassed. Have you ever felt exposed before? How many know that sometimes when we expose our weakness, we get embarrassed by it, and because we get embarrassed by it, all we learn is to cover it up.
Have you ever found yourself stuck in one of life's storms? And no matter how hard you try, no matter what you do, it seems that you can't make any headway.
And I'm saying that the fact that you're still here, that you're still breathing, you've got some more work. And you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself. So when you get up in the morning, that you can look yourself in the face and say, hey, I'm living my life on my terms. That's important.
I love myself too much to allow people, things, and situations that are dysfunctional to stay in and around my life. I've gotten rid of all things, people, and situations that no longer belong. You have decided to be on the receiving end of everything that these people want to dump on you. You're the victim in your own house. It's that simple. So when you find yourself getting rid of all things and people, situations that no longer belong in your life, you clear out the clutter.
And so the enemy would love to have you think that you're never going to get over it. My life will never be what it could have been if I wouldn't have. Yeah, we'd all like to go back and do everything perfect, but the whole thing is God is able to take our worst mistakes and actually work them out for our good.
One phone call, one doctor visit, one tick of the clock, and what was calm in your life can turn violent in just a moment. Prayer and a relationship with God gives you the tools and the weapons to handle life. You can stop thinking that life fitting to be easy, because I got news for you, it ain't. That's a false hope to think you're going to have a wonderfully carefree life. That's unthinkable. Faith don't make it easy. Faith makes it possible. You just need some faith, man.
It's faster downhill than it is uphill. It's easier downhill than it is uphill. It's quicker downhill than it is uphill. And you wonder why you're not being successful. And you're back to the same place that you were. And so what happens is we have a lot of good uphill days, but we have a few downhill days, and the few downhill days cancel out all the uphill days.
So your thinking is your life. You were created to lead,
and designed to dominate. You don't evolve into a leader. You were created to be one. The manufacturer actually had leadership in mind when he created you. But look at what they've done to you. They've made you an employee. And they told you where you can be employed and where you cannot be employed. And then they restrict how far you can rise in that employment. It's because nobody has challenged the system.
If you're going to have a good attitude, you have to do it on purpose. Because there will be all kinds of negative things that try to creep in. Bitterness, discouragement. If you're not proactive, if you don't choose the right attitude, then the wrong attitude will show up. You are well able to overcome opposition, to outlast adversity. But I've learned can-do power doesn't do you any good if you have a can't-do mentality. Quit looking at all the things you can't do. Have a new perspective. This obstacle may be big, but I can overcome it. This situation feels overwhelming, but I can handle it. This trouble is taking longer than I thought, but I can outlast it.
You're called to come out of the crowd. You're called to be counterculture. You're called to come out. Newsflash, the crowd is stupid. The crowd has no identity at all. We just do what everybody else is doing. I was talking to this person today. They're like, I just want to get married so bad, Pastor Rich. I said, why? They said, because all my friends are married. The best reason why you want to get married and spend your life with a person is because your friends are doing it?
Life is serious. The future's serious. It's serious whether you win or lose. It's serious whether you succeed or fail. Life is the struggle to keep death at a respectable distance. You want to live a good, long, flourishing life, you got to push back.
My life is worthwhile. Doesn't matter what I've experienced. Doesn't matter about what I've gone through. Doesn't matter about what I don't have. What's important is that where I am right now, that I live life and I experience my life fully.
Don't miss the opportunity to learn. Take a good key phrase home, use it in your training. Don't be lazy in learning. Don't be casual in learning. Get smart. If you've had a bad week, just sit down and ponder that for a while. Study it. See if you can't pick up some ideas from a poor week and then make a better week. This is called the possibility for life change starts with education. Don't be lazy in learning. Don't be lazy in picking up the ideas. Don't be lazy in learning from your own experience. Learning is the beginning of life change.
Each of us is in either one of three situations. You are either headed towards a storm, or you are just coming out of a storm, or you are in a storm right now. But whatever your situation, God is in control.
And until your thinking change, you are contaminated leadership. They've never heard such a level of teaching on leadership. Why? Because unless your mind changes, you will never become a leader. Ladies and gentlemen, attitude determines your limitation, which means that your belief system determines how far you go. You can never lead beyond your attitude and your belief system. And that's why your life is what you think it should be and exactly what it is. Attitude is the manifestation of your personal philosophy.
Most of us don't grow till you hear the word no. What is your bottom line? If you don't have a bottom line, it's expected of that man or that woman to continue to cross the line. Most of y'all claim to have a bottom line, but as soon as that person says or does the same thing over and over and over, you give them a pass. So therefore, maybe there's a bottom line to you, but you're not enforcing the bottom line. Someone is aware of the fact that you're not a bottom line enforcer, so then they just keep taking advantage of you.
That's why we have to guard our beliefs so preciously, because our mind goes to work on finding these references, which are real experiences in our life, to prove to us that that belief is true. And so although you may believe it to be true about you, these doubts and negative thoughts you have, these were not your original thoughts. You weren't born this way. You weren't born doubting. You were born perfect. You were born believing you were going to do something great. You were born believing you were going to do something special with your life. As a baby, I promise you, you had no negative self-talk. These are external sources. So important to know because those thoughts aren't really who you are.
Here's a quote that changed my life forever. You should always expect the things that you accept from me. If you have a bottom line, if you know your value, if you know what you're bringing to the table, then you never, ever should take less than what you know you're worth. When it comes to relationships, when it comes to money, when it comes to opportunities.
Your feelings don't shape your life. Your beliefs do. And it doesn't even have to be true. If you believe it, it's going to shape your life. And a lot of you were taught things as a kid about you that just weren't true. And years later, you're still acting on false information. Be transformed by changing the way you think, because my thoughts control my life.
Some people want to start with motivation, but you don't start with motivation. Enough motivation, certainly. But here's the best motivation we've got going. The proof of our success. When we bring our dedication and let it show, that's the motivation we want. Right? Not just excitement. Just excitement alone won't do it. If a guy's an idiot, you motivate him. Now you got a motivated idiot.
See, if you go through life holding back, and most of us do, most of us, if we ask ourselves, have we done all we can do? Most of us will have to answer, no, we haven't. We've been holding back. We go through life trying to seek security and not coming outside of our comfort zone, things we want to do, we're afraid to take chances, and we take most of our stuff with us to the grave.
I think so many people out there think that they're cursed or that their life is detrimental, when really it's all a perspective shift. So I want you guys tonight to take some time today, and I want you to think about things that you've experienced in life that you thought were curses, that were really life's workings for you. They were gifts from life that helped make you and mold you into the beautiful person that you are today.
Get smart. Don't miss the training class. Study, learn, grow, change, develop. Never let it be said you didn't learn. Right? If you want to solve your problems, you got to learn. If you want to take advantage of an opportunity, you got to learn. Major determining factor in how your life works out, each person's philosophy, is like the set of the sail. The same wind blows on us all. But what's going to make the major difference? Each person's personal philosophy that sets a better sail, sets a better sail.
Self-love creates a bottom line. Self-love creates a real bottom line, drawing your foot in the sand and saying, anything that you're trying to do from this point on is unacceptable. I refuse to be on the receiving end of any of the mean, evil, and disrespectful things that you just decide you want to unleash on me. It is unacceptable. If you make it to the end of this video, I want you to write, you should always expect the things that you accept. And I want you to make me aware of what is unacceptable.
Everybody in this room wants two things. Everybody wants to be successful and everybody wants to be happy. But I'm going to tell you what you're going to have to do. You're going to change your mindset. I ain't got no more than none of y'all got. God gave me the same thing he gave y'all. He don't love me more than he loved you. But you have got to change your mindset. If you think that they're going to mail this money to your house, you're dead wrong about that. If you want to be successful, you got to change your mind, and you're going to have some faith.
My mentor said, learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. I got the message. Then he added, if you work hard on your job, you can make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you could make a fortune. I had never heard that kind of philosophy before. He said, success is something you attract by the person you become. Success is not something you pursue. Success is something you develop, something you become. You attract success. To attract attractive people, you must be attractive. To attract committed people, you must be committed. So the whole key to unlock all the treasures is by your own personal development. And then he added one more, which is so important. Here it is. What you become is much more valuable than what you get. The major question to ask on the job is not what am I getting here. The major question to ask on the job is what am I becoming here? Because what you become attracts. If you become cynical, you attract cynicism. So this whole subject of personal development was so vitally important to me. I was a millionaire by age 31. And that was just the economic part of it. It was unbelievable.
To me, success is like knowing the combination to a lock. If you know the combination to a lock, it doesn't matter if you're male or female, you're 55 or you're 16, your IQ is 150 or your IQ is 93. And the problem is most of us are going through life and we don't know the combination. And if you know a system always produces a predictable result. And so I want to share with you the basics of a system that works. No matter what you're starting out at, wherever you are, it will work for you. Now, the promise I always make people is threefold. If you do this work and you apply it to your life, and the key is apply it, not just listen to it. Now, Jim Rohn says you can't hire other people to do your push-ups for you. I love that quote. There are things that no one else can do for you. So the first principle building on that says you must take 100% responsibility for your life and your results. And what that means is you have to give up all blaming, all looking out at the world and saying, well, if the world were different, then I would be better off. We go through all these things where we say, if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for the war, if it wasn't for him, if it wasn't for her, then my life would be working perfectly. But there's a little formula I learned. It says E plus R equals O. And what that stands for are the events in your life. You have a response to them, and that creates outcomes. For example, if I put $200 in front of you and you go out and party with it, but if I put that $200 in front of you, that's the event. Your response is you invested, so now your net worth went up. Same event, different responses. Basically, it's not what people say to you. It's not what they do to you. And if you want a different outcome, because E plus R equals O is like 2 plus 2 equals 4, responsibility means you have the ability to change your response to something other than what you're currently doing. So basically, we are responsible to change our behavior until we get the outcomes we want. I want to give you a business example. A friend of mine during the first Gulf War was a Lexus dealer, and people stopped coming in to buy Lexuses. They were all watching CNN and CNBC, and plus we were having a minor recession, so people were holding on to their discretionary income. He said to his staff, E plus R equals O. There's a war. Our response is we've been doing the same thing. We better do something different. So they tried 4 things. They said, if the people aren't coming to us, let's take cars to where they are. So they would go out with 5 or 6 Lexuses, and they'd go to a party. They go up and say, Tom, what do you do for a living? And then I would say, have you ever driven a Lexus? You know, we have a new LS400 outside, never been ridden by anyone. It's got the new seats that have the air that comes out that can keep you warm or keep you hot. Would you like to take a little spin with me, see what it's like? Now, you come back in. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever test driven a new luxury car and then got back in your old car? Well, they ended up selling over 60% of the people they did that with a new car within 2 weeks. And if you keep experimenting like that, you'll find the R that works, but you have to be willing to take a risk. And the reason most of us don't do that is we don't want to feel uncomfortable, because all new things require discomfort. Now, most of you remember learning to drive a car, but after a couple months, you're there driving with your knee, you got a Big Mac in your left hand, you're breaking up a fight in the back seat with the kids with your right hand. But you have to be willing to go through that awkward, uncomfortable stage. So what I want you to do is to realize that life is an experiment. You have lots of responses that are possible. So there's 3 kinds of responses. Number 1 is your behavior. Number 2 is your thoughts. Number 3 is the images you hold in your head. What you say and do, the thoughts you think, and the imageries that you hold inside your head. When you say, I can't, when you focus on your failures instead of your successes, And when you surround yourself with people who are judgmental rather than encouraging and empowering, it actually has a physical effect on you. So we have to be very careful where we place ourselves and who we hang out with and who we surround ourselves with. And one of the principles here is you have to eliminate the phrase, I can't, from your vocabulary. I'll try. Those are all ways of saying I'm not capable. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or think you can't, either way, you're right. Because if you think you can, you will try. And if you try, you're probably going to pull it off. And if you think you can't, you won't. And if you don't try, then you're not going to get it done at all. Make sense? I can tell you story after story. I met a kid named Kyle Maynard last year. He has no legs past the knees. He was the #2 wrestler in the state of Georgia his senior year in high school. He can type 150 words a minute with the stubs of his arms. When I hear that and I look at these people, I think, what's my excuse? There's nothing you can't do. And all those people that are out there that are doing anything that you go, wow, that's great, is just a model for you that says this is possible. And if they can do it, I can do it. Now, another principle is you've got to surround yourself with positive people. Jim Rohn said, again, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your friends are victims and their lives aren't working and their marriages don't work and they're not making money, that's a reflection back. And what I teach people is always try to get with the people that are the next level up. Get in their space, learn what they do, how they think, etc. General Wesley Clark, who I interviewed, said, it doesn't take any more effort to dream a big dream than it takes to dream a small dream. Most people hone down their dream because they can't see how they can do it. Dream as big as you want. Big dreams are exciting. Big dreams attract big people. Walt Disney said, if you can dream it, you can do it. You may have to learn some new skills. You may have to partner up with some people. But all of that is possible if you'll simply dream the big dream. Does that make sense? So trust your dreams.
Here's what I realized. That if you're not willing to take a chance on you and reach beyond your comfort zone, you'll never discover the greatness that you have within yourself to experience more. Do something beyond your comfort zone. Learn something new so you can see what's in you. So you want to maximize this time. You want to make your move right now. If you're not willing to learn anything new, no one can help you. But if you're willing to learn something new, no one can stop you. So the people that are going to come out on top, they're hungry. Most people are conditioned to do just enough to keep from getting fired, where they've been paid just enough to keep from quitting. You got to be hungry. You have to get your stuff together. Doing just enough to get by? No. Anything can be mastered if you're willing to put in the time and focus yourself on learning how to do that to make yourself stand out. Do not go where the path may lead. Go where there's no path and leave a trail.
I want you to max out your life. I want you to max out your business. See, you were made to do something great with your life. Every single day has to be a pursuit to get better, to grow. You got to get a little bit more intense. You got to stop being so dadgum casual.